Hello, welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday. I am here alone, except Charlie told me he is here, so I know he's here. I just don't see him. Hopefully, he'll fix that and be here with us in a moment. But I'll go ahead and give my usual introduction. I'm Lainey Melnick. I'm owner of Dream Vacations, Lainey Melnick and Associates in the Westlake Hills area of Austin, Texas. Hi, Charlie. Glad you made it.
No, I am here. I kept pressing the button, but it's jamming up. Sorry.
And I'm here talking destinations with this one of my favorite tour suppliers, CharlieTheTraveler. He has tours in 30 countries around the world and is one of the most what's knowledgeable travel experts on every area of the world. So Charlie and I have done, this is our 16th episode. And today we're going to talk about Uzbekistan, which is something very unusual for my clientele. And so I can't wait to talk about it. But in the meantime, please scan the QR code up in the corner, and that gets you to my website where you can scroll down and enter to win our $10,000 sweepstakes. So you get $10,000 towards any land or sea vacation that you would like anywhere in the world. And of course, you can use it towards Charlie's tours, although 10,000 gets you a lot with Charlie because he has very affordable tours. And then also, please comment. We are going to be streaming live, or we are streaming live across many platforms: YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If you type hashtag Travel Talk Tuesday in the comments below and any of our platforms, we are going to give you a $50 gift certificate towards any Charlie the Traveler tour anywhere in the world that you book through my agency. So please go ahead and comment and hashtag Travel Talk Tuesday. And let's get started, Charlie.
I'm ready for this one. I'm excited. So from the 98 countries that I've traveled extensively in, I'm going to have to say that Uzbekistan is the most underrated of them all.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because people know nothing about Uzbekistan. I mean, you've heard of the Silk Road, but you know nothing about this area. It's very little promotion of it.
Well, not just promotion. I mean, you ever see the global weather and they'll say, okay, here's the North America, South America, and it goes to Europe. And then they completely skip over all of Central Asia and they go straight to the Orient. So it's for some reason people don't know much about the stands over there, but it is a gem.
So you call it the stands. Is that how it's referred to all of the Astan countries there are?
Well, the stand just means land of. So there's even provinces in Iran that are called, something stan. Well, I mean, you've heard of other countries like Pakistan or Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, all this kind of stuff. So it's the land of the Turkmen, or the land of the Kazakh, stuff like that. So most of these countries, not Iran, not Pakistan, but many of the other countries are descendants of the Turkic tribe. So they spread from Kazakhstan all the way into Turkey. So they speak like a similar language to each other. Some of them understand the Turks. The Turks have a harder time understanding them, but is in that same family of languages.
I see. So is it similar to visiting Turkey?
In terms of the vibe?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. I can't just say a yes or no on that one. So, I mean, you have three major influences over there. One is the Turkic one, right? That's where the language derives from. And you'll see that in a lot of the faces. The second one is the Mongol, like Genghis Khan, all of that. In the
right.
1200s. Yeah. So you've got that whole influence, and you also see that in some of the food. The third one, and perhaps this is the strongest of the bunch, the Russian influence, because it was part of the USSR.
Okay.
And that's what that whole thing was. And some cities feel a little bit more Turkish, some feel a little bit more Russian. Tashkent, for example, has definitely more of a Russian vibe. There's more Russian people living there. You see more Russian buildings and things like that. And then when you get into
Interesting.
places like Khiva on the far west, that is just like you're just like, where the heck am I right now? But I loved every second of it. I mean, I really did. In terms of an authentic place, I'm like, it's no Disneyland over there. I mean, that's the real deal.
So we're not allowed to go to Russia at this point because of the war. So for people, and I do have clients who are begging me to go to St. Petersburg as soon as it opens up. For people who love that Russian palatial, amazing city, is this something that would be a good alternative for them?
I would. It's definitely it's a different experience. So Russia as a whole doesn't promote tourism. I mean, we all
Yeah,
have heard of St. Petersburg and Moscow,
yeah.
and some people have heard of Sochi, which is a Black Sea resort. After that, people kind of get lost, and they don't at that point know where to go. So, I mean, Russia is very big and diverse, and you're going to get a different type of vibe depending on which part of the country you go to. Uzbekistan, it feels different than Russia, for sure. It's got a different feeling to it. I mean, yeah, it is a crossroads, and I mean, it feels it very much in the food, in the architecture, and in the faces of the people. I mean, you can just, without even knowing the history, you show up there, and you could tell three major forces all met there. You hear it in the music. I mean, everything. So even the restaurants, some of them, they've got like a fusion. I would say that the Asian influence in terms of the architecture and the food is the least, but between the Russian and Turkish one, those ones stand out more.
Interesting.
And the restaurants over there, I mean, it is just, I mean, a lot of these restaurants over there are so over the top, um, like a palace. I mean, it really, you go into this restaurant and you're thinking you're some president's home type of thing, and it's just like it's a restaurant. And you look around you and it's just like, are you kidding me? Like a restaurant like that in the United States, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars it would cost to build something like that.
And do they do like dinner entertainment like you would expect like a belly dancer? I mean, is that not the right vibe either?
Oh, no, they got all that kind of stuff. It's not a very conservative country. You will hear the prayers. It is a Muslim country, but it's very. I mean, you're going to see people dressing like you would in Russia or something. So you hear the prayers, you see the mosques and stuff like that. But no, I mean, you'll see everything that you want to see. Tashkent, you're going to see more clubs and things like this. But yeah, I mean, they love the entertainment. Everywhere you're going to go, you're going to see somebody playing music. I mean, every place that I went to, if you look on my Instagram and my highlight for Uzbekistan, they'll see me over there. They approach me with these little like instruments and they start jamming out with me and stuff. And some of them I know because they're old Russian songs, and I've heard Russian music before, so I don't know the lyrics, but kind of go with the rhythm of it and stuff. But yeah, they love to dance. They love the music. And after Turkey, I would probably say Uzbekistan has the best food in the world.
Wow. Now that says a lot.
Yeah, I would say it's number two. And I had a tour guide in Bukhara. We're going to talk about all these places.
Okay.
But Bukhara, like I had a tour guide. I love him. He's an alpha male, though, type of guy. It's just, that's what he is. And we went to the restaurants. Usually I'm very like picky and let me choose my own stuff. He was one of those guys. I just said, you know what? I'm going to be quiet. I let him order everything. He didn't make one mistake. Every single thing he ordered was incredible. And I had visited during Ramadan. Not everybody knows what that is, but Lainey, if you can kind of.
Well, it is a spiritual holiday where you have to, you're not allowed to do certain things. So I wouldn't usually recommend you travel during Ramadan. It's more difficult to obey their rules during that time period. I know that was a bad description, but
That's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Well, in Uzbekistan specifically, I mean, I've traveled during Ramadan. My customers have traveled during Ramadan. Everything's still open.
oh, okay.
It's just the Muslims themselves. And incidentally, not everybody's Muslim because remember, you still have the Russian minority and stuff. Um, they will practice. So they don't eat from typically like 7 in the morning until around 7 o'clock at night. But the Russians are still going to eat. The tourists are still going to eat, which means that the restaurants are still open. So in terms of tourist attractions and food and everything else, there's no real disruption. And in a lot of ways, it's nice because you'll actually see during certain times of the day, people will stop what they're doing to pray, and you'll hear the chanting. You'll see people going to the nearest mosque and all this kind of stuff. For me, I found it really fascinating. So I enjoyed the whole thing.
Well, that's
Really.
good. Yeah, I mean, I understand why you'd want to. You want to experience it. You want to, because part of the great thing about travel is in engrossing yourself in somebody else's culture. So, and you want to feel like you're part of it. So, of course, when they're celebrating this most holiest time of the year, it's like a fabulous time to really get into the inner psyche.
So I think that's not the only. I mean, you can visit. I think April, May are very good times to visit. September and October are very good times to visit. So April sometimes is when you're going to experience that Ramadan. The times that you want to avoid it, July and August, it's so hot over there. Like, oh my gosh, is it so hot? It's over 100. And then in the winter, once you start getting into like later November through March, it's really cold. So April, May, September, October, those are the prime times to visit. And the weather is just absolutely perfect every single day.
So, is it a snowy climate?
In parts of it, yeah. Yeah.
But
Parts
it's not desert.
one part of it, because remember you have the Silk Road.
Yeah.
So one part of it did dry up, and it's crazy. There's a site, we don't go there because it's like so far in the middle of nowhere. But there was like a ship because there used to be water there, and the whole river dried out. So if you go there today, imagine just driving to Vegas and seeing this like ship just sitting there in the middle of nowhere, and you say, "What the heck is this doing here?" So there is something like that over there, but Uzbekistan, I would say, is much more of a city and town oriented destination than a nature-based or destination. There are some nice nature as well, like the mountains surrounding Tashkent. And it's kind of nice if you like lamb and things like that. When you get out into the mountains, like I did, there's people that are cooking it like right off the street, and you kind of like pull to the side. I've got some really wonderful photos of it. And like, I mean, they're cooking it right there in front of you. So that's fun. But otherwise, there's about 4 cities over there that are really popular. And the first one starts with Tashkent, the capital.
Okay. So let's get into your tour. So how many days do you recommend?
This one is an 8-day tour. Some people want to go a little bit at a slower pace. So they'll go into 9 or 10 and we just spend some more time. But if you just want to kind of like go through the motions, 8 days. That's how we do this one.
Okay. And where do you fly into?
Tashkent. It's the capital of the country. That's also the one where you'll find more Russians and more Russian architecture. There was a very bad earthquake in the 1960s, I think, which caused much of the historic architecture to crumble. And it wasn't rebuilt in that same style. So a lot of the buildings are just modern and stuff like that, but there are still some Russian buildings. The main thing is you go into Tashkent because that's where you're flying into. There's direct flights there, I think about 3 times a week from New York. The other way to do it is to go through Istanbul in Turkey, and then you get to Tashkent. But people, like, it's a long flight. I mean, it's literally across the world. So, you get into Tashkent, you're tired, and we give you time to rest on that day. There's a Hyatt over there that a lot of our customers stay at. We let them rest up for the day, and then around 5 o'clock, we pick them up in the lobby, and then we take them to a pilaf center. It's like a rice factory type of place, and they teach you how like traditional food is prepared, and you have dinner over there with the people. So it's a good way to kind of start your day with some rest, and then a cooking class, and having dinner with locals.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it is. I got super lucky over there, because I mean, some guys are they're very powerful in the country, in both politics and just business. They had invited me over there, and they really took care of me, and they spoiled me with food, and they gave me a first class. I have so much respect for those guys. I mean, they treated me so well. I really owe them a lot. So
how big a country is it? Like, to go from one side to another, how many hours between?
I've never done it like that, because we make stops.
Right.
And the train system is good over there. They even got bullet trains over there.
Oh.
So I don't know if it just was done in all one stop, how long that would take. But I mean, it is a bigger country. I mean, it's bigger than Ukraine, so it kind of gives you an idea.
Okay.
So it's you start in Tashkent, you have that dinner. The one that I did was great. I've met the mayor over in Uzbekistan, and a bunch of other guys that just made sure I had the time of my life. From Tashkent, on the second day, we'll show you the highlights over there. There's some mosques, there's some markets, like an outdoor market. There's some, like the metro station is really pretty, and that obviously comes from the influence of the Russians.
I was going to say that's a Russian thing.
Sure, exactly. And then they've got like an Orthodox cathedral over there that's really pretty. It was it was an interesting thing that went over there. When the Russians first went there, the locals were very receptive to it, because the Russians came with money, and they wanted to bring in infrastructure and stuff like that. And of course, things changed with communism and whatnot, but they were very receptive to the things that the Russians were building. As an example, the metro system.
Right.
In the inner city rails. So you're going to see that kind of stuff when you go on our tour over there.
So are you using rail to go city to city, or do you use buses?
So for the first, so you get into Tashkent, you're getting there by flight. Then from Tashkent to Khiva, it's spelled Khiva, you take a very quick direct flight. That's the only domestic flight you need on this tour. Okay. And you get there on the second evening. Sometimes we do it on the third morning. It depends when there's flights and availability and all this kind of stuff. From Khiva all the way from there, you're taking trains to get back.
Oh, okay.
So it's one domestic flight and then trains all the way through.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, theoretically, you could take a train there and back, but it's just why waste it? You take a 50-minute flight and then save yourself all this time. Yeah. So on the third day, now you're in Khiva. And it's a small town, but it is really packed with a lot of beautiful places. It's probably prettiest at night because they illuminate the town over there. It's one of the most authentic looking towns I've ever been in my life. It is just the formations of their the
I'm here. Sorry, I guess you lost me for a minute, but I'm here. No problem.
So the minarets that they have over there, and just the illumination, and they got a lot of these madrasas, they're called, or they're like religious schools. So some of them you can go inside, some of them you can't. But so many of these buildings, like when you open the door, it's just gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous what they have on the interior. So there's a lot of these pleasant surprises over there, and it's all walkable. There are a few things here and there that are a little bit on the outskirts that we show, like there's a palace, for example, and there's a fortress that we show you that's like about 40 minutes outside of town. But we typically do that in the morning, and then we get back to Khiva, and then the rest of the day you're doing everything on foot.
Are these like cobblestone type streets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not super flat for people with mobility problems. There's going to be uneven kind of walking.
A little bit. It's not very hilly though, so it's
Mm.
not it's not heavy walking. But yeah, I mean, if you need a wheelchair, it's going to get a little bumpy. Um, but it's not a hilly type of town.
Okay. Okay. So in Khiva, you're there overnight.
That one, yeah, you're staying there on the second night. You're also staying there on the third night, and you see over there like tourist police. I took a lot of photos with them, both male and female. Um, and there's a lot of nice restaurants. They got really a lot of good restaurants over there. So,
Mm.
and it's a small place. Everybody's going to kind of get to know each other after a while. Um, and then the night comes, you kind of do a night tour and all that. And um, yeah, it's a good one. And then basically on the fourth day, we relocate from Khiva to, Central Asia's most spiritual destination. It's called Bukhara.
Mm.
Bukhara. And it's on that Silk Road. That Silk Road goes from China all the way to like I think Azerbaijan. So
So is the Silk Road named that because that is the way that they took silk from China out to the rest of the world?
yeah, it was not just silk, but other products as well. That's a lot of the culture that you see, especially in the Middle East. It's because of that Silk Road. So
Mm.
just think about it as like a business transaction. You've got one guy over here, and he's rich. He's got the money. We'll call them the Europeans. And then you keep laughing. I don't know what I'm doing. Um,
I'm not laughing. It's just me.
okay. It just sounds like, I don't know. I don't know what's funny. It's like somebody's tickling your feet or something. My gosh. Um, but anyways, so you got on one side the rich Europeans with their money, and then you've got on the other side the people from the Orient, like China, with the goods, right?
Hmm.
So what do you have in between? You have the middlemen, right? You got the brokers. So even a lot of the culture from the Middle East and Central Asia, this is where it comes from. That bargaining kind of culture and mentality and all that.
Mm.
It's because they were sandwiched between one side of the world that had the goods, the other side of the world that had the money, and they were brokering in between. And that's where that whole Silk Road comes in.
And there aren't, I mean, this isn't a dangerous area where there'd be pirates or people trying to steal goods.
No, no,
Okay.
nothing. No, it's like, I mean, we've never had a problem. I've never even heard of any problems,
Mm.
um, like with tourists at all. I mean, anything can happen anywhere, of course, but
Right.
until now, it's like we've had, thank God, no problems whatsoever with it. Um, so they also have these, how we have now for the truckers, we have the like the Motel 6 and that kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, well, they have their own version of that. Um, I can't pronounce it. It's Karavanasi, I think, something like that.
Mm.
And so they had these little like Motel 6s, historic ones,
Mm.
because people were transporting this stuff and they needed places to sleep along the way. So you'll also see that in some of these towns that we take you to, some of the towns and cities. Um, and you'll see that in these places, they're developing very quickly. And that's thanks to YouTube. So you got these independent YouTubers that went over there and they
Mm.
really put Uzbekistan on the map. So if you go there now and you go back 5, 10 years from now, it's going to look very different
Mm.
because they have so many of these kavara nasis, these Motel 6s, we're going to call them,
Hmm.
and other buildings that they just didn't do anything with them. And I could see them all becoming hotels. I could see every
Mm.
single one becoming a hotel.
So the hotels that you put people in are not these little
No,
Motel 6 kind of
no, no.
hotels. No, no.
We put them all almost exclusively in 5-star hotels.
Mm.
Sometimes if there's no 5-star available due to availability, whatever, then we put them in a 4. But we almost always put them in 5-star hotels. And something that's going to surprise you about a lot of these hotels. So, you wake up in the morning, it's a buffet, breakfast is included,
Mm.
and you're going to see some good like bureki. I don't know, but bureki is like a oh god, it's like the phyllo dough type of thing with like
Oh,
meat and cheese and that kind of thing. And
right.
then you'll have some tomatoes, then you have some fruit, and then you're going to go toward the end of the line, and it's just an endless supply of vodka and everything else. So it's a full-on bar, and it's breakfast, and you're just like, why is there just endless booze at my buffet at breakfast? Okay, so yeah, I mean that's another example of it being of one of the more like liberal Muslim countries, because I mean just booze is everywhere over there. So, and that obviously comes from the Russians. That's no surprise.
Yes. And I would assume that they've got good caviar too.
Yeah, they do. They do. They do
Yum.
for sure. Now, on day 4, we've taken the train from Khiva to Bukhara. For me, from all the cities, I think Bukhara is the prettiest. That's my opinion.
Okay.
They're all good. Khiva, Bukhara, and Samarkand are all really pretty, but Bukhara is kind of the cream of the crop with it. And once we've transferred you on the day 4, they've got right now still, they have not built the bullet train from Khiva to Bukhara. They've been trying to do that for years. It's still not there. So right now it takes about 6.5, 7 hours. And the train is just like a basic train. The alternative to that is to take a flight, but the flight is not daily. So if it's like a smaller group, because we take even solo travelers, we will by default use the flight if it's available. If it's not available, then we use the train. If we have a bigger group, like let's say 3 people or more, we end up using a private car to transport from Khiva, just to kind of save you some time and with it. But then once we get you to Bukhara, we do some sightseeing over there. My favorite part of that day, and perhaps one of my favorite things in the whole trip, is you go into the Turkish bathhouse, the hammam.
Oh.
Okay. Now, if you remember, go on YouTube and put Anthony Bourdain. We all miss him. Hammam, Hammam. So he went inside there, and what he went through is exactly what it is. They beat the heck out of you, but it's in a way that you want to experience this thing. Some people can say, hey, you know what, just go softer, and they will. I mean, they're not going to punish you for nothing. But for me, I didn't want to back down. You know, I don't want them to sit there and tell their friends that Charlie couldn't handle the pain type of thing. But I mean, if they tell you, hey, calm down, they will. But I mean, this is like a full-on like physical therapy / like bath / massage. There's nothing I've ever done like that in my life.
So I have to tell you, it is my most watched short I've ever done is my experience with the Turkish bath. So it was in Kusadasi. So it's Turkish, but a man washed me in the Turkish bath, which is unusual for a Muslim country to allow it. But yeah, he washed me like a baby.
I watched that video. I saw you had the camera right there too, like as he was doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also have the camera on me when they're. So if you go to my Instagram and look in my Uzbekistan section, you'll see what the guy was doing to me. The guy made my legs like spaghetti that day. It was just like it was something else.
Yeah. I didn't like the massage part. They did like a cupping massage. Hi, Joanne. You know, the cupping ones where they put heat in the cup and then they like make it, I don't know, it sucks up your skin. Oh, I hated it. My daughter liked it, but oh my God, I was screaming at them to stop.
Yeah, no, in Uzbekistan, they don't do that. In Uzbekistan, they have one for the male and one for the female. And the men don't massage the women and the women don't massage the men type of thing. But even if we're describing these places, like a minute ago, we're talking about the booze at these hotels, and now we're talking about the hammam. So you see how you can kind of get the Russian influence, the Turkish influence. Obviously, the hammam comes from the Turkish part. So Uzbekistan was a major power before Turkey became a power. And you know all that stuff like in northern India, Uzbekistan was kind of the main power, even in that part of India. So that's why you're going to see a lot of the architecture and things like that. There's similarities even within Iran. So later on, it's when the Turks got strong and they took over Constantinople and they became a bigger power. So they're actually kind of same for the same family, but Uzbekistan was stronger first, and then later on Turkey became stronger. But anyway, when you're in Bukhara, you're going to get the influence, and you're going to see these guys on the street who are selling the ice cream. You know how like the same way you saw in Turkey, where they kind of mess with you and they give you the ice cream and then they take it and they really just like like they mess with you. One guy over there, he was so hungry. And they're messing with him, and he got upset. He says, "Give me the ice cream, or else I'm going to punch you in your face."
Oh.
but later on, my tour guide told me that don't worry, they all know each other, and they know they're joking with each other. But yeah, you're going to see some very cool buildings and streets in Bukhara, for sure.
And how long are you there?
You're there on day 4, right? And you do sightseeing. It's a half a day of sightseeing because we got to get you from Khiva. The day 5 is another full day. This one's a full day of sightseeing in Bukhara. And then that evening, because remember, evening 4 is when we take you for the bath, the hammam. The 5th evening, we take you to a venue, and they got like folkloric dancing, and they got some like traditional band playing over there. With the traditional attire and all of that.
Nice.
So that's how to do that one in that day. Also, they got some really good restaurants over there. So that's kind of what happens there. The next day, day 6, we do more sightseeing in Bukhara because there's really a lot to see there. And then we relocate by a fast train to Samarkand. It's only about a 2-hour train ride away. Samarkand has arguably the prettiest square in all of Central Asia. And at nighttime, it is really just like, are you kidding me? It is gorgeous. So if you just Google Samarkand at night, you'll see that it is the real deal over there. And of course, it was also on that Silk Road between China and the Mediterranean. And it's a World Heritage Site as well. I mean, all these places I'm telling you about, these are World Heritage Sites.
Yeah, the one thing I think that Americans don't really understand until you travel more to these areas is how old the rest of the world is. Like you know, we're so used to things that are 200 years old here, and when you go to these places, they're just centuries old.
Well, so there's one place I went to, and there was a monument that I saw. And it's, my gosh, this thing, and it crumbled, this thing, but they kept whatever was left. But still, what was kept was just very impressive. So, and I remember to my tour guide, I said, geez, when is this, 1700, 1750? He said, no, this was, it was like 1230, 1220. So I said, they built this in the 1200s. He said, yeah. So you serious? Yeah. And then I said, hold on. And then I looked it up on Wikipedia. It got a little bit irritated with me. He's like, I'm telling you, why do you need to look it up? I'm like, there's no way this thing was built in the 1200s. He said, yes. So I looked it up and he was right. I said, my bad. You know what I mean? My bad. But, to take it as a compliment. So when you start seeing that stuff, Europe wasn't always the center of science and innovation and everything else. In the 1200s, England, for example, was like a swampland. Like Uzbekistan, China, those were the places that were leading the world.
Right.
With like innovation, infrastructure, technology, all of that stuff. I mean, that was the thing there. And later, there's things that happened that kind of slowed them down. But 1200s, 1300s, they were ahead of the rest of the world, for sure. They were on top of the world.
Yeah, I mean, no, people don't understand how Egyptians made the pyramids. Like, you just don't know what kind of technology they had because everything was lost then. Or it was aliens. Who knows?
So now on day 6, remember, you do a little sightseeing in Bukhara, you get to Samarkand, then we give you a little tour over there. Day 7 is really nice. You got a full day tour of Samarkand. And after sightseeing over there, we take you to this winery. And it's, I think, what was it, from the, I think, 1800s, something like that. This has Russian influence, obviously. And they got some really good wines over there. They got really, really good wines. And then right next to it, it's one of the prettiest restaurants I've ever seen. This thing was really blow me out of the water type of restaurant, like just adjacent to this winery. And we usually recommend people they have dinner. The problem is they should have dinner first and then go to the winery.
I guess.
But, okay, but they end up going to the winery. By the time they get to the restaurant, things have changed a little bit because they've tried the wines and they also got some nice cognacs and all that. But yeah, and there's some other restaurants we show you too. I'll tell you this one in Samarkand. I won't forget. There was another really good restaurant that we went to, very fancy, but the cooks, they had to bring in the lamb because they love lamb over there. All right. So you know how in America you kind of have this like, back door in the alley type of thing on the East Coast, or there's always like a second way of getting in, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, they don't have that. Okay. So this was like slaughtered lamb.
Oh.
And this is like well, no, I mean, it wasn't bloody, but I mean, it's just like what you'd see, when you go to like when you go to the market and you see it like,
right. Yeah.
Anyways, so this is a fancy restaurant and I'm sitting there eating and just, they have like, 14 lambs and they got like 6 guys all bringing this stuff through the tables. Like,
oh my goodness.
And they're trying to run it through, like, don't make it a big deal so nobody notices. How don't you notice that? There's 14 lambs that are just flying across the room,
Oh my gosh.
So there are some oddities over there, but I mean, this is all part of the experience of traveling.
Right.
I remember over there, I got to be careful with this one, but I went to a very fancy restaurant with this big businessman over there. And, you dress nice and everything. It's a very formal place. And I had to use the restroom. And the guy, points to me where the restroom is. And I go there and I don't see much. I just see a hole. I don't see nothing else. And he doesn't speak English. I don't speak Uzbek. And I went back to him and I said, I'm sorry, bathroom. And he goes, there. And I really have to go to the bathroom. I said, there's no bathroom. There's nothing there. Okay. Yeah. And he starts going like that, man. What's wrong with you? I said, no, there's nothing there. There's just a hole. There's nothing there. Okay. And then he grabs my hand and he walks me and he points to the hole. I said, oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Oh.
Yeah. And this was at like a super fancy restaurant. That wasn't very common, to be honest with you. Most of the fancy restaurants had nice bathrooms. But for whatever reason, that one specific restaurant, like, it was just a hole. So
that wouldn't work for girls.
Well, it didn't work for me either. So I had to literally leave, and I took a taxi back to my hotel as this super rich businessman is waiting for me. And then, like, I came back 15 minutes later. I asked them to forgive me, and I had a translator. And I explained to him what happened, and he actually started laughing. At first, he was a little bit irritated because I was gone. And then he's like, okay, I understand. He's like, I get it. And again, it's just like, oh, my bad.
You never know what you're going to find when you travel. This is what, when I was in Japan, there were some places we went to that the bathrooms for the girls are just holes in the ground and you have to squat over the hole, and they don't do toilet paper there. So that was a learning experience as well.
Just you got to do a little bit of workout before you get to these countries. That's all.
Yes.
Stretch out and work out your quads at 24-hour fitness. So, and then basically that's what we end up doing on the 7th day. And then on the 8th day, there's a couple of things that can happen. Some people can fly from Samarkand, Istanbul, and then wherever they want to go. Other people have to go back to Tashkent, and then from Tashkent, they fly out. So if you need you can go from Samarkand. We just take you Samarkand to the airport, and then you fly out. And then if they need to go back to Tashkent, it's just a 2-hour train ride back to Tashkent at that point. Then we take you to the airport, and then you fly out. That's all.
Okay, so we're at the last day already.
That's at this point, yeah. It's day 8, and you've covered Khiva, which is the smallest of the towns. You've covered Bukhara, which I think is the prettiest of them, although I think all 3 of those are pretty. And then Samarkand, which has got the prettiest square, and it's got the winery and really nice restaurants and stuff. And the capital, of course, Tashkent.
So how much is this tour?
This one, I'll tell you right now. This one is, because usually we do it in payment plans of 6 months. But this one is, this is 8 days with 5-star hotels, breakfast, all the entry fees, your own private tour guides, because this is a fully private tour, private cars, and the train rides, 2,490 per person based on 2 people.
Okay, that's a great price. And as with all of your tours, you don't do single supplements. You just pay what you need to pay for a single person to do it. So the great thing about Charlie's tours is you don't have to go on a specific day. So you decide what day you want to leave, and we create the tour around your needs. So a lot of the tour companies that I use have specific dates. You must leave on these dates and go on their schedule, and you're with the same people every day. That is not the way Charlie does his tours. So you go on the day you'd like, and we arrange the tours, or Charlie can coordinate the who you're with every day. So you may not be with the same people. You might be alone, or you might be with a totally new group. It's kind of fun for solo travelers because you're meeting new people all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Uzbekistan specifically, though, that one is a private tour.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, Turkey, for example, you have the option of doing it private or shared. Some other countries Iceland, for example, it's predominantly shared. Uzbekistan, it's a private tour.
Interesting.
So, and you have typically a different tour guide in Tashkent, a different one in Khiva. So what your tour guides do is they'll take you to the train station or whatever. They make sure you get on the train. And then the next place you go, you got somebody else there with a sign waiting for you. He's your tour guide. These are all government licensed English speaking tour guides. Yeah, it's a gem of a place. It really is. I can't praise it enough. We tend to get older people for that one. Typically, these are people who really are interested in history. But I've also told a lot of younger people it's a fun place. So
it doesn't seem as crazy as like the full moon parties, in Thailand. Yeah.
Well, I know that's where you spend your free time, Lainey. But the thing with Uzbekistan is it is very like sightseeing oriented of a destination, to see pretty towns and cities and stuff.
And if you were to combine it with something, I mean, you could combine it with Turkey. What do you think would be a good combination?
Yeah, that's interesting. You've asked that. We've done that. So to combine it with Turkey is very good. You can also combine it with Dubai, and you can combine it with Azerbaijan. So those are the more popular ones that we combining it. But of the bunch, it's usually Turkey. Usually people combine it with Turkey.
Interesting. Well, let me do a little wrap up. We did pretty good today. 6:45.
When I see the clock, I just stop talking because I know it's like it's past my cue.
Well, again, I'm Lainey Melnick, owner of Dream Vacations, Lainey Melnick and Associates, with my partner Alex Horn in the Westlake area of Austin, Texas. And we book land and sea vacations all over the world. And Charlie is one of my fabulous tour suppliers who I use in 30 countries around the world. And he does these fabulous land vacations, which also I have combined with cruise vacations. So some people want to do a cruise and want to do land pre or post. That works as well. And that's one of the great things about being able to choose whatever day you want for your tour to start. You can combine it with another thing very easily. And Charlie, sorry, go ahead.
In Uzbekistan is one of those, you can start anytime you want. I mean, we still do run this in the summertime. We get customers for the summertime. It's just we generally encourage people to do April, May, September, October. But this particular tour, you can start whenever you want.
I mean, I love 100-degree weather myself. I used to live in Tucson, so 120 I think is the best weather you can possibly have. But I wouldn't want to be out in the sun doing outside things. So it's hard to do outdoor activities when it's that hot.
Indeed. During the summer, what we end up doing is we split the attractions a little bit. So April, May, September, October, you're going straight from like 9 until 5. So what we do in the summer months, you start a little bit earlier, and then around 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock after your lunch, you go back to your hotel and you relax until like 4, and then our days end later. So rather than end at like 5:30, you're turning into like 8:30 or 9. You see, so that's what we end up doing in the summertime to accommodate people in the heat.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So go ahead and scan the QR code and enter to win our $10,000 sweepstakes. You just scroll down until it says enter to win. Excuse me. And on any of our streaming networks, put hashtag Travel Talk Tuesday, and we will give you a $50 gift certificate towards any Charlie the Traveler tour anywhere in the world that you book through my agency. So next week, are we here? I think I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay, next week is going to be March. Oh my gosh, it's going to be March 4th. We had a bunch of people tell us what they wanted us to do last week, and I can't remember who it was or where they wanted. Does anybody remember? I think we've had requests for Australia. Where else have we had requests for? Do you do Australia?
Not yet.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I've written a travel article about it. I've been there many times. I know. And
I've been all over that country too, and I've got lots of great videos of Australia. But let's do something.
Which countries have we not covered?
That is always the difficult question. Hold on, I've got somebody telling us on WhatsApp something. Oh no, that was you. What did we get? Oh, Canada. Somebody wanted us to do Canada.
Let's do Canada.
Are you sure? What part do you do?
That's a very fun tour. We do the Banff. We do, and that one's a seasonal tour. It's usually June through August. But if you want like nonstop outdoor activities and fun, with seaplanes, helicopters, zip lining, ice bars, canyons, this is probably one of the most like fun tours for families.
That's great. I mean, I book all over Canada too. I don't know if you know the other side. I do polar bear tours on the other end of Canada, which are amazing. You really should do those too. but I love Banff and Lake Louise, and we do the trains, Rocky Mountaineer trains. So I would love to talk Canada. Let's do that next week. And I can actually talk about Canada. I've been all over that country.
Yeah, that's an easy one to talk. I know with Uzbekistan, it was like, if I stop talking, I say, "Hey, Lainey, so what's your opinion?"
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, if you get people that really want something that's different, Uzbekistan, I promise you, it's a good one.
All right.
Then our Uzbekistan tour, nobody's ever said, it's okay. Everybody who's done it is like, they're so glad they did it.
Well, it's great to know more about it. That's why I love Travel Talk Tuesday. We all learn something.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again, and we'll see you next week for Canada. And please enter to win QR code and Travel Talk Tuesday hashtag. Thank you guys.
Check out my YouTube, my Facebook, all that.
Exactly. Please subscribe to YouTube for all of us, for both of us. All right. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.